My name is Randall Gilbert. I've been married to Felicia for 11 years. We've got 3 great kids, a cozy home, and a life I thought was solid. But one night, everything I believed about my wife and my marriage came crashing down. It started with an invitation to a party thrown by our neighbors, the Spencers. Felicia had been dying to get invited for years, and when she finally managed to snag an invite, she was over the moon. I didn't think much of it, just another neighborhood get-together. She didn't give me many details, just said it was for couples and a bit more upscale. I figured it'd be a nice change from our usual routine. The Spencers' house was packed when we got there, laughing couples, fancy drinks, catered food. Felicia fit right in, chatting and laughing like she'd been waiting for this moment her whole life. I was the quieter one, nodding politely during small talk and sipping my drink while trying to keep up with her energy. As the night went on, I started to notice something strange. The conversations felt off. People kept dropping hints, throwing sly glances at each other. I couldn't put my finger on it, but something was definitely up. Then a guy near the bar casually mentioned the keys. "What keys?" I asked. "Oh," he said with a grin, "you'll see." It hit me when the hostess walked into the middle of the room holding a glass bowl. She clinked her fork against her wine glass, calling everyone's attention. "All right, ladies, you know what to do," she announced. Laughter rippled through the crowd as the wives started pulling out their house keys, tossing them into the bowl. I froze. I turned to Felicia, searching her face for some sign that she was as shocked as I was. But she wasn't. She was smiling, and pulling our house key out of her purse. "Wait a minute," I whispered. "What's going on?" Felicia didn't even blink. "It's part of the party," she said casually. "What kind of party is this?" I demanded, my voice low but sharp. She gave me a smirk like I was some clueless kid. "Relax, Randall. It's just for fun. The husbands pick a key, and whoever's key they grab, they get to spend the night with her. No big deal. No big deal." Those 3 words hit me like a truck. "You knew about this?" I asked, my voice rising. "Of course," she said, shrugging like it was nothing. "Why do you think I didn't tell you? You'd never agree unless you had to." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My own wife had not only planned for this but had fully intended to go through with it. I felt sick. "We're leaving. Right now," I said. Felicia's face darkened. "No, we're not. It'd be rude to leave now, and it's just one night. Don't be so uptight, Randall. Maybe this is exactly what we need." I couldn't hold it in anymore. I grabbed her arm, pulling her away from the group and into the kitchen. "Did you seriously think I'd be okay with this?" I hissed. Felicia rolled her eyes. "You're overreacting. Just one night, Randall. Everyone does it. It's harmless." "Harmless?" I said, my voice trembling. "Sharing you with another man is not harmless. I'm your husband, Felicia. Or does that mean nothing to you anymore?" She crossed her arms, defiance flashing in her eyes. "You're acting like I'm cheating. This is consensual. It's supposed to be fun." Fun. That word echoed in my mind as I stormed back into the living room. I couldn't let this happen. I walked up to the bowl of keys, all eyes turning to me. My hands were shaking, but I didn't care. I reached in, grabbed the key with the red cover, ours, and held it up. "I wasn't told about this," I said, my voice tight. "But let me make something clear. I'm not sharing my wife with anyone." The room went silent, and the awkward tension was suffocating. I turned to Felicia, who was staring at me like I'd just ruined her life. "Let's go," I said firmly. The ride home was a disaster. Felicia didn't hold back, screaming at me for embarrassing her in front of everyone. "You just ruined everything," she shouted. "I ruined everything?" I shot back. "You planned to sleep with someone else and didn't even tell me. What kind of wife does that?" "It's just one night, Randall," she snapped. "It's not like I was going to run off with anyone. Why can't you loosen up for once?" Her words felt like a slap. I couldn't believe this was the same woman I'd loved for over a decade. By the time we pulled into the driveway, I wasn't sure we'd ever be able to fix what had just been broken. When we got home, I didn't say a word to Felicia. I headed straight for the bedroom, slammed the door, and sat on the edge of the bed, my head in my hands. My thoughts were racing. How could she have done this? How could she think it was okay? I kept picturing her at that party, laughing with those people, ready to toss away everything we'd built for the thrill of a night with some stranger. A few minutes later, she barged into the room. "Are you just going to sulk all night?" she snapped, her tone dripping with sarcasm. I looked up at her, my anger barely contained. "Sulk? You lied to me, Felicia. You took me to a party where you planned to sleep with someone else. And now you're mad because I said no?" Her arms crossed over her chest. "You're being dramatic. It's not like I was running off with anyone. It was one night, Randall. One night to feel alive. Alive? I said, my voice breaking. What about us, Felicia? Don't you feel alive with me? Or with our kids? Was that not enough for you? She hesitated, the confidence in her expression faltering for just a moment. Then she sighed like she was trying to explain something to a child. Randall, I love you. I love our life. But I've been feeling stuck. Like all I do is cook, clean, take care of the kids. I needed something different just once. Her words cut deep. So your solution was to sleep with another man? I asked, my voice shaking. You didn't think to talk to me? To tell me how you were feeling? Would it have changed anything? She shot back. You're so rigid, Randall. You would have just brushed it off. This was my chance to break free, to feel like more than just a wife and a mom. I stood up, my fists clenched at my sides. Breaking free doesn't mean breaking your vows, Felicia. It doesn't mean breaking my heart. Do you even realize what you've done? What you almost did? She glared at me, but there were tears in her eyes now. I didn't think it would be this big of a deal. Everyone else at that party was fine with it. I just wanted to fit in, to do something exciting for once. Exciting? I said, my voice rising. You want excitement? Go skydiving. Take up a hobby. But don't throw away your marriage and your family for some thrill at a key party. Her tears started falling, but she still didn't apologize. Instead, she whispered, I just wanted to feel wanted, Randall. Wanted in a way I haven't felt in years. That hit me harder than anything else. I thought I'd done everything right, supporting her, loving her, being there for her. But somehow it hadn't been enough. And now here we were, standing on the edge of a cliff, staring into the abyss. I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself. Felicia, I can't do this right now. I need space. Space? She repeated, her voice cracking. You're just going to walk away? I'm not walking away, I said, grabbing my car keys. I'm giving you a chance to think about what you really want, because if it's not this marriage, then I need to know now. She didn't stop me as I walked out. I got in the car and drove aimlessly, the streetlights blurring through my tears. Part of me wanted to scream, to punch something, to do anything to release the storm inside me. But another part of me just felt empty. By the time I pulled into a motel parking lot, it was well past midnight. I checked in, bought a six-pack from the vending machine, and sat in front of the TV, staring at the flickering screen without really seeing it. My phone buzzed repeatedly, calls and texts from Felicia. I couldn't bring myself to answer. Her last voicemail came around 1 a.m. Her voice was soft, almost pleading. Randall, I'm sorry for how tonight went. I didn't mean to hurt you. I thought it'd be something we could laugh about later, something to shake things up. Please come home. We can talk about this. I love you. I deleted the message without replying. The next morning, I woke up with a pounding headache and a heavy heart. I needed to figure out what to do, how to move forward, how to protect myself and my kids. Felicia had crossed a line, and there was no going back to the way things were. I woke up the next day, my body aching and my mind still in a fog. I'd barely slept, and the weight of what had happened sat heavy on my chest. I couldn't avoid it any longer. I had to figure out what to do next. Staying in that motel, hiding, wasn't a solution. My kids deserved better, and so did I. I called my mom, my voice trembling as I told her what had happened. She listened quietly, not interrupting, until I finally said, I don't know what to do, Mom. I don't want to lose my kids, but I can't stay with Felicia after this. Her response was firm. Randall, you have to think about what's best for those kids. They need stability, and right now you're the only one who can give them that. If Felicia's making choices like this, you need to act fast. She was right. I knew she was right. I told her I'd swing by later to see the kids, but first I had a meeting to set up. By midday I was sitting across from Kelly, a divorce lawyer recommended by a friend. She was sharp, no nonsense, and got straight to the point. Adultery is clear grounds for divorce in Texas, she said after I explained everything. And if you have any evidence, texts, voicemails, anything, that confirms your wife intended to or did engage in this behavior, it strengthens your case. I nodded, pulling out my phone. She left voicemails. A lot of them. Some of them are explicit. Kelly's eyebrow arched, but she didn't flinch. That'll work. We'll need to confirm it's her voice and make sure it's admissible, but this is good. You also need to prepare for the custody battle. If Felicia has been a good mother up to now, the court may lean toward joint custody. But if you can show she put her own interests above the kids, for example by attending these parties, then you may have a stronger case for primary custody. I don't want to take the kids away from their mom, I said quietly. But I don't want them exposed to this either. Kelly leaned forward, her expression softening just a bit. Then we focus on protecting them. We'll file for divorce, cite adultery, and request primary custody with fair visitation. That way they have stability and you don't cut their mother out completely. How does that sound? It sounded like a plan. A painful one, but a plan nonetheless. I signed the paperwork to begin the process and left her office feeling a strange mix of relief and dread. Later that evening, I went to pick up the kids from my mom's house. Their innocent faces lit up when they saw me, and it took everything I had not to break down. They asked where Mom was, why we weren't all together, and I did my best to explain in terms they could understand. Mom's busy with something important, I said, forcing a smile. But I'm here and we're going to have a great weekend together. We spent the next 2 days playing at the park, watching movies, and building a pillow fort in the living room. Their laughter was a temporary balm for the ache in my chest. Felicia called me several times during the weekend, but I ignored most of her calls. When I did pick up, her tone swung between anger and pleading. "Randall, you're overreacting," she said during one call. "I didn't even get to do anything. You took the key before it went anywhere." "That doesn't matter," I replied coldly. "You planned to do it, Felicia. You hid it from me and you didn't care about how I'd feel. That's enough." "It was just one night," she argued, her voice cracking. "I didn't mean to hurt you. I love you, Randall. I love our family." "If you loved me, you wouldn't have done this," I said, hanging up before she could respond. By Sunday evening, I dropped the kids off at home. Felicia greeted them warmly, hugging them tightly as if nothing had happened. When she turned to me, her smile faltered. "Can we talk?" she asked softly. I shook my head. "Not yet. The papers are coming this week. We'll talk after you read them." Her face fell and tears welled up in her eyes. "You're really doing this?" "You made your choice, Felicia," I said, keeping my voice steady. "Now I'm making mine." As I walked away, I felt her eyes on me, but I didn't look back. By midweek, the divorce papers had been served. Felicia called me in a panic, but I didn't answer. Instead, I focused on the next phase, ensuring the truth about those parties came to light. With the help of a friend who knew a local reporter, we gathered enough information to publish an exposé about the Spencers' key parties. The article, complete with blurred photos of attendees entering and leaving the house, hit the front page of the Sunday paper. The fallout was immediate. Couples filed for divorce. Businesses faced backlash as customers boycotted owners tied to the scandal. Felicia's name wasn't mentioned, but everyone in town seemed to know what had happened. By then, I wasn't interested in revenge. My focus was on moving forward, building a life for myself and my kids. The damage Felicia had done to our marriage was irreversible, but I refused to let it destroy me completely. A month after the divorce papers were served, Felicia showed up unannounced at my door late one evening. I was putting the kids to bed when I heard the knock, sharp and desperate. When I opened the door, there she was, disheveled, her eyes red from crying, clutching a stack of papers in her trembling hands. "Randall," she began, her voice shaky. "We need to talk. Please." I crossed my arms, keeping my voice calm. "We've already said everything that needed to be said." She shook her head, tears spilling down her cheeks. "No, you don't understand. I made a mistake, a huge mistake. I thought I wanted something different, but it was all a lie." "Is that what you came here to say?" I asked coldly. "Because it doesn't change anything." "No," she said, her voice breaking. "It's more than that. Leon, he's been blackmailing me." That stopped me cold. "What?" Felicia clutched the papers tighter, her breathing ragged. "After that night, he started messaging me. He said he'd recorded everything we did, every word I said. He has pictures, videos, stuff I didn't even know he took. He's threatening to send them to you, to the kids' school, to everyone unless I give him money." I stared at her, my stomach twisting into knots. "And why should I believe you? You lied to me about the party, about everything. How do I know this isn't just another excuse?" She shoved the papers into my hands, printouts of texts and emails, screenshots of Leon's threats. My blood ran cold as I skimmed through them. The messages were explicit, vile, and left no doubt about what he'd done. "I didn't know this would happen," Felicia sobbed. "I was stupid, Randall. I thought it was just one night, but now he's ruining my life, and he'll ruin the kids' lives too if you don't help me." I clenched my jaw, the weight of her betrayal crashing into the new storm she dragged into my life. "You put yourself in this mess, Felicia," I said. "You put all of us in it. But I'll be damned if I let that scumbag hurt my kids." The next day, I took the evidence to Kelly, my lawyer. She immediately contacted a criminal attorney and helped me file a restraining order against Leon. Within days, the police got involved and Leon's house was raided. What they found shocked even me: hidden cameras, files on multiple women, and a trove of explicit material he'd collected over years of exploiting these parties. The Spencer's key parties were exposed as more than just consensual swapping. They were part of a sick, predatory network, and Leon was at the center of it. He was arrested, along with several others, and the fallout spread like wildfire. For weeks, the town buzzed with scandal, but for once, I wasn't angry about it. Every headline about Leon and his crimes felt like vindication. As for Felicia, the fallout was harder. The scandal destroyed her social circle, and many of her so-called friends abandoned her. She tried to rebuild, to prove she could be a good mother despite everything. I saw her trying, and a part of me felt pity, but not enough to forgive her. We finalized the divorce a few months later. I got primary custody of the kids, and Felicia was granted supervised visitation until she could prove she'd stabilized her life. It wasn't what she wanted, but it was what the kids needed. One evening as I tucked the kids into bed, my youngest, Todd, looked up at me. "Are you happy, Dad?" he asked softly. I paused, taken aback by the question. "I'm getting there, buddy," I said, ruffling his hair. "As long as I have you three, I'll be okay." And I meant it. Months turned into a year, and life slowly found a new rhythm. I stayed focused on my kids, my work, and healing from everything I'd been through. Felicia moved to another town to start fresh, and while we stayed civil for the sake of the kids, we never really spoke beyond logistics. Then one day I got a letter in the mail. It was from Felicia. The envelope was thick, filled with pages of her handwriting. She apologized again for everything, but the final paragraph stuck with me. "Randall, you were always better than me. You deserved better than what I gave you. I hope one day you find someone who sees that and loves you the way I never could. I'll always be sorry for what I did to you, to us, to our family. Thank you for being the father our kids needed when I failed. I'll carry the weight of my mistakes forever, but I hope you can find peace. You deserve it." I folded the letter and put it in a drawer, unsure of how to feel. The pain was still there, but so was something else, a sense of closure. Looking out the window at my kids playing in the yard, I realized I didn't need revenge, pity, or even an apology to move forward. I had everything I needed right there. And I did move forward. Stronger. Wiser. Ready for whatever came next. Thank you for sticking with me through this story. If it resonated, feel free to share your thoughts or explore more of my content. Don't forget to subscribe and stay connected. I'd love to hear from you.